With all the new changes to Kickstarter, I'm going to break down the top 7 tips to boost your campaign this year, because today Kickstarter has become both easier and harder at the same time. What do I mean? Well, it's easier because there are better tools and education like this video, and harder because competition is fiercer and backer expectations are higher. What that means is that the margin for error is a lot thinner. To hopefully make it even more easy for you, I will be giving away the audiobook and PDF version of my best-selling book crowdfunded for free, but I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. For now, let's dive into the first tip: master the 4 horsemen of traffic. So the foundation of any successful Kickstarter campaign is understanding what I like to call the 4 horsemen of traffic. Now, what are these? These are the 4 primary sources that will drive people to your campaign. So first, you have the pre-launch email list. Second, online advertising. Third, PR and influencers. And fourth, Kickstarter's own platform discovery. So let's break down each one, starting with the most important, your pre-launch email list. So even though a lot of things have changed on Kickstarter, the pre-launch email list is still the most critical element of a successful launch. But what's changed significantly is how we build and leverage these lists. Now, the most effective approach is what we call a reservation funnel. This is a way for potential backers to place a $1 deposit to secure early bird pricing or an exclusive reward. So let me show you how this worked for our campaign for Fyro T22 backpack. So when Aaron decided that he wanted to launch, he already had a solid foundation from reviewing hundreds of the world's best backpacks on his YouTube channel called Nomads Nation. But instead of just collecting email addresses, Aaron implemented our reservation funnel where interested subscribers could place a $1 deposit to secure early bird pricing on his new backpack. This strategy really transformed the passive viewer into an invested VIP. And when launch day arrived, those VIPs were primed and ready to back immediately. The results? Well, 232,000 from over 1,100 backers within the first 48 hours. He ultimately went on to raise over $373,000, which was 3,700% of his initial $10,000 goal. I'm going to be going into a lot more detail on how he actually did this in a moment, but for now, just know that this horseman leads the charge, but doesn't stick around for long. It's typical to see about 90% of all the backers from the pre-launch email list alone come within the first 48 hours of the campaign. To keep traffic going, we're going to have to rely on the other horsemen. And speaking of them, let's talk about horseman number 2, online advertising. No matter how you feel about online advertising, it is definitely a must for crowdfunding. It's not only how you're going to drive traffic to your reservation funnel, but it will be one of the main sources of traffic to your live campaign. And today, Meta, aka Facebook and Instagram, still reigns supreme. The ROI on other platforms like TikTok just doesn't come close to what we see on Facebook and Instagram. And that's why we recommend our clients spend at least 90% of their ad budgets with Meta. Now, today, there are a few key shifts with advertising that you'll want to understand. First, mobile optimized creative is no longer optional, it's mandatory. Over 50% of Kickstarter traffic comes from mobile devices. Second, video formats have evolved from long-form explainers to quick, feature-focused clips. Our highest performing clients now create 2 to 5 different video assets, highlighting specific features rather than one comprehensive video. And third, Metapixel integration with Kickstarter allows for precise conversion tracking and campaign optimization. I like to say that this horseman will fight till the end. Online advertising will be with you for the remainder of the campaign long after your pre-launch email horseman has retired and ridden off. Now, I can't say the same thing about the next horseman, but he's still very important. Let's talk about PR and influencers. So landing solid PR provides your campaign with 2 really important things. 1, credibility, and 2, sales. Top-tier media placement can put millions of eyeballs on your product, driving tons of revenue, but this horseman is notoriously difficult to control. In 2025's crowded media landscape, mass outreach just doesn't work anymore, where some tech journalists are now receiving over 300 pitches a day. Now, a good PR strategy is all about quality over quantity. For example, our client Aaron, creator of Seabeast, which raised $654,000 on Kickstarter, had a far more focused PR and influencer strategy. Instead of blasting press releases to hundreds of gaming outlets, he took a more selective approach centered on reaching the right audiences. His efforts led to getting picked up by multiple board game review YouTube channels like Rado Runs Through, which has over 110,000 subscribers. I like to say that this horseman fights in waves. Most of the time, the traffic you receive from PR and influencers will come in bursts. You'll get picked up by a website or influencer, see a spike in traffic and sales, and then see it die down just as fast. All right, let's now move on to the last horseman, Kickstarter's platform discovery. Now, I'm always getting asked, why do you launch on Kickstarter? Shouldn't you just launch on your own website so you have more control? Well, it's simple. There may be many reasons that crowdfunding platforms are the best place to launch your product, but the top reason has never changed. Crowdfunding platforms have millions of visitors viewing their website every day. Tap into that traffic and you'll raise a lot more money than you could otherwise. When our client Joe, the creator of Astro Brew, launched on Kickstarter, it was clear that he understood this principle deeply. By activating his pre-launch email list immediately at launch, he generated $68,000 in sales in 24 hours. This was enough momentum to trigger Kickstarter's algorithms and get him more traffic. And by the end of the campaign, he had raised 24% or $35,000 in additional funding from Kickstarter's audience. Here are the main things to keep in mind to get the most traffic from Kickstarter. First, launch timing is crucial. Tuesday between 7 to 10 a.m. in whatever time zone the majority of your audience is located consistently shows the best results. Second, seasonal timing matters more than most creators realize. Avoid launching in November and December. Third, the first 48 hours remain absolutely critical for algorithmic performance. And fourth, getting the Project We Love badge, which is when Kickstarter's editorial team selects your campaign as something they love, can really help with visibility. So to finish this off, I like to say that this horseman never rides alone. If the other 3 horsemen don't show up to the campaign, then this horseman won't appear either. All right, the first tip is down. Let's move on to tip number 2, pre-launch your launch. If there's one thing we've learned from hundreds of launches, it's that what happens before your campaign goes live is more important than what happens during it. The 3 pillars of a good pre-launch are 1, your reservation funnel, 2, your email marketing, and 3, your community building. So let's start with the reservation funnel. We pioneered the reservation funnel strategy all the way back in 2017, but we've only seen its effectiveness continue to grow through the years. Here are the top 3 benefits. First, you understand who your super fans are. These are the people that upgrade to VIP by spending $1 in the pre-launch, and they're your biggest supporters. Second, you get a higher ROI. For regular products, we see VIP lists convert somewhere between 20 to 40%, and for tabletop game campaigns, that number can be as high as 50%. Third, you know when you're ready to launch. VIP lists convert at a much more consistent rate than email lists alone. So if you have a lot of VIPs, you can have more confidence that you'll be successful on your launch. Here's a real example. When we started working with Aaron, the creator of Seabeast, he initially launched on another crowdfunding platform called GameFound and had to cancel his campaign due to underwhelming results. After the GameFound setback, Aaron regrouped and completely revamped his strategy for Kickstarter. This time, he implemented our reservation funnel approach. Rather than just collecting email addresses, the reservation funnel allowed potential backers to place a $1 deposit to secure the Shimmering Scales Deluxe upgrade, which was a $15 value. And a lot of people took the offer. Out of around 10,000 email subscribers he collected, 2,488 of them placed $1 reservation deposits. And on launch day, those VIPs showed up. Aaron raised $155,000 in 24 hours, and this immediate surge helped him raise over $654,000 from 5,200 backers, far exceeding his $15,000 goal. So a dollar may not seem like that much, but it's really what makes a strategy work so well. Because when someone pulls out their credit card, even if it's for a tiny amount, they're demonstrating real buying intent versus someone that's just giving you their email address. All right, now let's move on to the second pillar, your email marketing strategy. The best email marketing strategy follows a less is more philosophy. People sign up for your pre-launch email list to be notified about the launch, not to get weekly updates about product development. Let me show you what I mean with one of our clients, CMate, who raised over $488,000 on Kickstarter. Rather than sending lots of emails leading up to the launch, they only sent a few. One was a welcome email that went out to everyone who signed up for the list. The goal of this email was to ask email subscribers to upgrade to VIP for $1. Then they went silent until exactly 7 days before the launch, when they sent an announcement with launch timing, early bird pricing, and a clear call to action to mark their calendars. This focused approach resulted in open rates for VIPs exceeding 70% and click-through rates above 22%. This is way above industry averages. So just remember to keep it simple. The quality of your emails matters far more than the quantity. Now, while email remains the primary communication channel, it doesn't really build community. So let's talk about that now. I recommend you use platforms like Discord, Facebook groups, and YouTube to build out your community. For example, our client Aaron, who raised over $373,000 on Kickstarter with his backpack called Fyro, shows just how powerful community building can be. As a YouTuber who reviewed backpacks, Aaron already had an engaged audience, but rather than simply directing them to his campaign, he invited them into a development process he called building in public. Through his YouTube channel, Aaron shared prototypes, solicited feedback on features, and even held votes on design elements. Aaron talks about how valuable this was on our podcast, Masters of Crowdfunding.
If you're documenting, people are actually following your journey. It's so much more of an authentic, intimate experience where they see your highs, they see your lows. That authenticity, that transparency made people into super fans.
And when he launched, those super fans showed up, which is why he was able to raise so much. So for your campaign, think about how you can foster community to turn people from passive followers to active fans. Next up, let's dive into tip number 3, leverage the latest features. Kickstarter has undergone significant changes in the last year alone, introducing 3 new features that can really boost your campaign. 1, pledge management, 2, pledge over time, and 3, secret perks. Let's start with pledge management. One of the biggest updates to the Kickstarter platform is the introduction of integrated pledge management tools. Previously, creators had to use third-party services like BackerKit to handle post-campaign logistics like add-ons, address collection, and fulfillment tracking. Now, Kickstarter offers these features natively, allowing creators to manage all campaign logistics in one place, offer post-campaign add-ons without losing backers to external platforms, collect shipping and tax payments. Next, let's move on to pledge over time. This feature addresses one of the biggest barriers to backers choosing your most expensive options, which are the high upfront costs. Pledge over time allows backers to split their pledge into 4 equal payments if the reward is over $125. By offering more flexible payment terms, creators can attract backers who might be hesitant to make large one-time pledges, increase average pledge values as backers opt for higher tiers, and expand their potential backer base to include more budget-conscious supporters. Lastly, let's go over secret rewards. Launched earlier this year, this is by far my favorite new feature. Secret Rewards allows you to create hidden reward tiers that are only accessible via a private link. For example, if we go to the campaign page for our client Chill Shark, we can see a secret reward they created for their VIPs. If you remember from earlier, those are the people that put down a $1 deposit in the pre-launch. So pairing secret rewards with the reservation funnel pre-launch strategy works really well, but that's just one use case. Any way you can think where exclusivity would be a good way to promote your campaign will be a good use of secret rewards. Hey, real quick, I wrote a book called Crowdfunded that goes way deeper into everything I'm talking about in this video, and I want to give it to you for free. It has 4.7 out of 5 stars from 378 reviews on Amazon and was recommended by both the CEO of Kickstarter and Indiegogo. But again, you can get the audiobook and PDF version for free right now. Just follow the link in the description below and I'll send it on over to you. All right, let's move on to tip number 4, creating a conversion machine. Your campaign page can't be an afterthought. I want you to think of it as a conversion machine. I know that sounds a little intense, but we're giving it a crazy name so you don't forget about it. Every potential customer will see your campaign page. It's more important than your video and will be the main driver of convincing people to back your project. So the 3 things you gotta get right are 1, creating high quality images, 2, optimizing for conversion, and 3, choosing the right reward strategy. Let's start with the first one. There are 3 types of imagery that you need to get and showcase on your page. I'll use our client Seatmate as an example again to show you each one. The first are studio shots. These are shots of your product on a white or colored background. They're super useful for creating graphics like you see here. Second are location shots. These showcase your product in places where people would use it. And third are action photos. These are best for showing features and benefits that are in motion, like you can see here. Get these 3 types of images and you can create a really high quality looking campaign page. Next up, we have conversion optimization. So the structure and content of your campaign page needs to be meticulously crafted to get people to buy. Here are my top tips for this year to keep in mind. First, think in headlines. Most visitors skim your page rather than reading every word. See how if we scroll through Seatmate's page, you can just read the main headlines and get a pretty good idea of what makes Seatmate special. Second, turn parts of your campaign video into GIFs. GIFs do a great job of showcasing product features dynamically. And third, design for mobile. Again, over 50% of Kickstarter's traffic comes from mobile phones. So view your page on mobile devices and make sure people can read it. Most potential backers will decide whether to support your project within the first 15 to 30 seconds of viewing your page. So you really want to make those seconds count. Lastly, let's talk about choosing the right reward strategy. Think of your rewards as the pricing options on your page. To make this really simple, there are really just two reward strategies that I've seen working the best this year. Those are one, discount stacking. This is where you list the same product but at different price points with varying discounts, like early bird, super early bird, etc. For example, see how our client Inku Calendar did this with their launch and raised $284,000 on Kickstarter. They had 3 different discount stacks for 30%, 25%, and 22% off. Each discount was limited, and this scarcity of each discount created real urgency for backers to pledge immediately. 2, we have value stacking. This is where your rewards are bundles of products with increasing value at higher price points. So as the price goes up, so does the value. For example, check out how our client Trevor, the creator of Pantheon, did this and went on to raise $288,000 on Kickstarter. He had 3 different value stacks for $39, $69, and $99. Each reward included more items and more value. Whichever strategy you choose, the key with both is to create really clear differentiation of value between each reward tier, and at the same time, keep the rewards simple. Having too many options can actually paralyze potential backers from making any choice at all. All right, next up, let's talk about tip number 5, breaking the dam. So I like to imagine all the work that we've been doing in the pre-launch as building all this pressure behind a big dam. And now it's time to break that dam and create a flood of backers to your campaign. When done right, this can create momentum that can be carried throughout the campaign. I have 3 tips here. 1, launch at the best time. 2, send a lot of emails. And 3, use surround sound remarketing. Let's start with your launch timing. So I did a whole video on launch timing that I'll link in the description, but here's the gist. The best time to launch is on a Tuesday between 7 to 10 a.m. in whatever time zone the majority of your backers are located. For example, if most of your audience is in the US, then launching on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern would be ideal. This timing will ensure as many people as possible will be awake and likely to open your emails announcing the launch. Which brings us to tip number 2, send a lot of emails. Earlier in this video, I said that pre-launch email marketing is all about quality over quantity. Well, during the launch, it's both. Now that your campaign is live, it's fine to send a lot more emails. I recommend sending 2 emails on the first day actually. The first right when you launch, and the second at around 5 p.m. in the time zone of the majority of your backers. Keep the emails focused on the best deals you have available that day. The last tip is to use surround sound remarketing. Remarketing is a form of advertising where you target people that have already interacted with your brand in some way. For example, I highly recommend that you create campaigns in Meta targeting your entire pre-launch email list. No matter what we do, not everyone is going to see your launch announcement through email. So remarketing to your email list will dramatically increase the likelihood that everyone on your list will know that your campaign has launched. These advertising campaigns typically have abnormally high return on investment because these are people that you know are really interested in your launch. But even if you follow these 3 tips to break the dam, you'll still likely face what I lovingly call the valley of death, which is why the next tip is about conquering it. If you look at the graphs for daily funding on most crowdfunding campaigns, they look something like this. A surge of funding at the beginning, a huge dip in funding during the middle, and another surge at the end, making the dramatic valley of death shape. But there are 3 ways to combat this valley and keep funding going throughout the campaign. 1, continued advertising. 2, cross-promotion. And 3, using backer newsletters. Let's start with advertising. So we just talked about how remarketing can be used to break the dam, but it's important to know that your ROI on remarketing typically falls off pretty quickly because the audience that you are targeting is pretty small. If you want to keep traffic going to your campaign with ads, you're going to have to target new audiences. I recommend a few tactics here. First, create a lookalike audience of your pre-launch email list. A lookalike audience is when you give Meta a seed audience, in this case your pre-launch email list, and then it creates a brand new audience of millions of people that match the demographics and interests of your seed audience. The idea here is that you can tell Meta exactly who your audience is so that it can find more people like them. While you only need 100 people on your list minimum for the lookalike audience to work, it's recommended to have at least 1,000 people on your list for it to start working a lot better. Second, keep targeting the interests that worked well during the pre-launch. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And third, update your copy in your ads. You can use strategies like social proof. For example, this copy that says, this, insert your product name, is going crazy on Kickstarter. It's over 800% funded and hits goal in just 2 hours. Or you can use urgency like this copy, the world's, put your product description, is live on Kickstarter. Grab a huge early bird discount now before it's too late. All right, next, let's talk about cross promotions. This is where you and another creator agree to promote each other's campaigns. This is typically done by including each other at the end of one of your campaign updates. For example, you can see how our client Giver did this on their Kickstarter. Below the normal update, there were 3 cross-promotion partners listed, and each of those 3 campaigns did the same for Giver. The last one is using backer newsletters. These are companies that have built up communities of backers that are interested in awesome Kickstarter projects. I'll be honest, there are a lot of backer newsletters these days. I just chose a random project on Kickstarter to see all the collaborators listed, and nearly all of these are different backer newsletters. The thing is, not all of them work that well. The ones that I've seen the most consistent performance on are the following. First Backer from Jellup, Pledgebox's newsletter, and Backer Many. If you're considering other newsletters, try to negotiate terms where there is very little to no upfront cost and you pay on performance. All right, we've made it to the final tip, sprinting past the finish line. Remember that valley of death graph with the surge of the funding at the end? Well, you want to not only get that final surge, but keep that funding going after the campaign ends. There are 2 strategies you want to use to make this happen. First, send urgency-based emails, and second, use late pledge. Starting with the first, you'll want to increase your email marketing again in the final 3 days. I recommend sending 1 email 3 days before your campaign ends, 1 email the morning of the last day, and 1 email the evening of the last day. Use urgency in your messaging. This is the last chance you'll have to pre-order your product at this price point. The second strategy is to use late pledge. This allows you to keep pre-selling your product after your campaign ends. So that means anyone that didn't take advantage of your launch deals can still back your campaign. For example, check out our client Sammy, the creator of Lugical, who raised $150,000 on Kickstarter. He turned on late pledge and has since raised an additional $23,000, bringing the total to $175,000 so far. When you use late pledge, I recommend increasing your prices a little bit so that your campaign supporters still get the best deal. All right, we made it through all 7 tips. Now you know how to boost your Kickstarter campaign this year. And remember, if you want to get the audiobook and PDF versions of my book Crowdfunded for free, follow the link in the description and I'll send it on over to you. You can buy the book right now for $8.71 on Amazon, where it has 4.7 out of 5 stars from 378 reviews, or again, you can get the digital versions right now for free. So that's it for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe for more stuff like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.